Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Williams and I'm a software developer. And in this particular video, I just want to run through a little bit of my progress regarding a particular project that I'm working on. This one is a game, which you may have seen in a previous video of mine. So there have been a few updates in regards to the functionality of this technical demo that I'll be showing to you guys. And Visual Studio has been running a little bit slow on my PC, especially as the code base has been increasing exponentially. I found that it's been a little bit taxing on my computer, especially with the software running in the background to record the screen. So apologies if there's a little bit of lag time. I might just cut it out and skip by edits. But in any case, Visual Studio is just booting up now. And yeah, so some things I want to talk about regarding this particular update, this build of the game. So basic gameplay has kind of remained the same. I need to still work on a few things regarding the physics. The jump mechanic is a little bit jank. For example, yeah, here we go. I can actually kind of demonstrate what I'm going for. So let's start with basic movement. So the basic running mechanics work fairly well, left and right. I adjusted the speeds and the timings of some of the animations, so that they're a lot more smooth. And I've added some test elements into this particular build of the technical demo. So if you observe, there's like some kind of ball right here, which doesn't actually do anything. But I was considering playing with physics, which if you notice, just as I booted up the game, I'm gonna actually run this in windowed mode because I think it will run a little bit smoother, and I might be able to showcase some of the code base at the same time. The ball bounced as it fell to the ground, and that was due to a mechanic which I added to the physics method. Is it the physics method or was it let me see, physics method? No, actually, I can't really see because my screen is sideways. Oh, no, I can't access that. Okay, so I can't access the file directory. But basically, I have let's just go to the definition. The physics method doesn't actually deal with the physics in terms of the world physics. That's actually imposed by another class, which I'm going to try and find access to here because I don't have it at the top and I don't want to stop running the game. Should be here somewhere. Physics engine. I'll go to definition and I simply have, oops, yep. And in my physics engine, this is basically where the world physics is determined. And the code base is still quite rough, as obviously I'm still developing it. And so a lot of commenting here and there and whatnot, but still trying to keep it as cohesive as possible for my own sake of documentation and whatnot. But anyway, I have a particular functionality for bounce, which is abstracted as a function. And I apply this function to the ball object so that once it hits the mass, well, once the mass being the ball hits the ground, there's an inertia that's imposed and it sort of decays over time. So there's like a bouncing effect on the ball, and I can apply this to any control or shape as long as it holds a margin property, and I set it to within the bounds of the ground planes, so that you can see, so that the program knows where the ground is and stuff like that. So hopping back to the game, when you touch the ball, it just disappears. There's not much I did to it. I added a few things in terms of the assets for the sprites. So I added the animation. So first, one of the first things you probably noticed is the heads-up display, and I was kind of playing with the idea of having the HUD display kind of follow the player as you move around. Now, this was kind of unintentional at first. I wanted it to obviously be set in place on the screen on like a separate layer, but I made a mistake. I don't know if I can navigate to the XAML file because I don't want to exit the game. This is the C# file, so I can't go to the actual designer view right now. But basically, because I tied the background, the parent, should I say, grid control is actually moving the background layer, which means that the heads up display moves with the background essentially. As you can look very closely, the background actually moves slightly ever so much. So what that means is that what's happening right now is that I just simply tied the heads-up display to the same layer player, as the player layer, which is a canvas control. But obviously, because of the way the nature of the camera translation, oops, I'm on the wrong window there. Because of the camera translation algorithm, it just means that the heads-up display will still move because I'm using the parent control. Um, so I had to create like an offset kind of thing for the heads-up display to offset its movement whilst tracking the player, and that's why the heads-up display tracks the player. Because of course, as I explained in one of my other videos, in an earlier one, the world coordinates of my player move in tandem with the camera movement. So it's kind of like true movement in that sense. Now, as I was gonna say, I have also an animation, a new one called Stride, which is just like a dash animation, which triggers once you it's a very rough animation, but once you run at full speed and you hit the button, it'll trigger an animation, which is like the character female, she kind of does a kick. And there is an active hitbox on it, but it is a little bit glitchy, whereby it's always active when I'm running. So if I were to touch the stickman, the active hitbox still hurts him, I think. See? He just flashes red, which I put as an indicator that he is being affected by the hitbox. There was collision detection. So it's a little bit, I still need to work on the algorithm. It doesn't always work because of the way of the way I handle translation. I think that's what it's down to. But I'm gonna try and attack the stickman. Let me see if it works. It's really tight, like the timing. I might have to make it a little bit. Yeah, see, so the hitbox was still active even though I wasn't in animation, and that's something I have to fix. But it's just really good to know that the hitbox algorithm is working. And my idea was to sort of have the move set of special moves all on this kind of mobile heads up display. Let's see if I can go to this platform on this heads up display, and you can just access it on the fly. So this is kind of like an RPG experience in that sense, because I had some issues with key binding. So if I were to press the number 4 num key, it does the same thing. It triggers the same action as you just saw, but I was having issues. It's like I need to use multi-threading in order to handle keyboard shortcutting for multiple keys. Otherwise, the whole game just locks. So if I were to press two key buttons or keyboard keys at the same time, she would just stop because there would be like a sort of lock scenario going on, and I didn't really like that. And I did kind of like this menu idea, so I kind of rolled with it. Now, this other female character over here, she actually follows you. She has an AI, which is somewhere here. Let me see if I can find tons of variables. And yeah, so where is her AI? So I have an update function and AI body logic. So she's like the player buddy, and she follows in the view I have for this game is to have a heavy kind of teamwork aspect to it. So the CPU body kind of follows the player if the player is out of a certain particular range, which she's not following me. Let me see if I can just reset that. She should be following me now, I think. Yeah. And I have a few things here for that to work in the logic, which it's very heavily abstracted in comparison to my actual overall engine to an extent. So I was a little bit concerned about that. I really wanted to make my engine as general purpose as possible, but since I'm under the mentality of sort of getting it working and then making it, should I say, improving it. That's my kind of mentality. But at the same time, I'm balancing that with trying to make the design as cohesive as possible, whilst not sacrificing too much of the robustability, and whilst also making it as general purpose as possible, because it does save me a lot of time. For example, with my physics engine class, it really helps to have this kind of abstraction. Oh, do I have something here? What's going on there? Oh no. It really helps to have this kind of abstraction because I can literally just pull from the designer a control like an ellipse or a rectangle. Literally, just apply the bounce function and away I go. It's all done. So I'm really pleased about that. And is there anything else to speak about? Yeah, so Codebase, I am planning to sort of optimize it because the game does tend to run slow, but then it is in debug mode, so there is something to be taken into account. And mind you, my character on the right, who I've named Sherry, as you can kind of probably guess from some of these naming conventions, she only runs to the right. So I haven't programmed it to run to the left yet because I wanted to test that everything works properly before I program her left running functionality, just to basically invert her velocity and whatnot. What else? Let me check my notes. Yeah, so artwork is all done by myself. It's very rough artwork. I just needed assets basically to just show what's going on. And that's about it for this. I think I've spoken about everything. Yeah, so keep track of what's going on. I made the stage a little bit longer just so I can have a little bit more freedom when moving about. I'll just full screen it quickly now, actually. And yeah, the game, I'm quite pleased with the progress so far, considering how long I've worked on it. It hasn't been that long at all. Oh, look at that. So basically, this is quite fun. I'll explain what's going on here. So what it is because I haven't dynamically allocated a refresh routine for the background, it once the initial background is out of bounds, it's out of bounds, man. You'll just see the canvas at the back. But what's with all this writing at the back? So basically, this is a little debug tool that I created, which is just the input parser. Sorry, yeah, the input parser, or should I say the input stack. So every time I move in a certain direction or hold a particular key, it would refresh to reflect what it is. Delete being like sort of the, should I say, the empty button when I'm not, the idle button rather. But it's not really refreshing based on what I'm pressing. Well, it's saying number pad now that I'm holding number pad 4, I can see. Before the WASD key, I don't know why it's not updating with that. It's a bit strange. But I forgot that I did enable the visibility there. And we've been standing in this plane for a while, so I am kind of out of bounds. Something that's to clean up in the next build when I start working on this is to automatically refresh the backgrounds. So I'm going to just X this for quickly. And I'll just draw your attention to the designer view quickly, just before we wrap up this video. If there's time, if Visual Studio won't be so slow. I really do need to upgrade my hardware just so it'll make my life a little easier when I'm programming. Visual Studio move a little bit, I don't know. I'll draw your attention also to some of these classes. Basically, I'm using a free audio library, which is I've used in the past. You may already recognize some of these naming conventions. It is none other than N Audio by a developer called Mark Heath, and yeah, the library is really good. So I do highly recommend it. It is on GitHub, I think, but you can just download it off the NuGet package manager on Visual Studio. And yeah, I'm working on getting sound integrated as soon as possible, just to add a little bit more. Well, of course, it's a criteria to have sound in a game, but even at this early stage, I want to get more of a feel for how the game, the experiences with the sound. So I have some classes already set up. I just need to tweak a few things to get sound up and running. And this is the designer view. These are just like placeholders for the camera. So this is camera placeholders for the stickman and camera placeholders for the main player. So I have X and Y boundaries. Not so sure if I need this one actually so much, but I do intend to for the camera to focus on like the secondary players as well as the first player. That's why I have two placeholders. Otherwise, it will just only focus on player one. But I am considering like a multiplayer sort of experience, so I do want to play around with cameras a little bit more. Hence why I've got two kind of camera focal points. And yeah, that brings us to the end of the video. So I hope you've enjoyed this little update. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. That's William Sedejima. I'm on LinkedIn. And that's probably where I'm going to be most active regarding all my technical endeavors. So do feel free to drop a message there before you connect, just so I know what's going on. And thanks for watching the video. And I bid you a good day. Bye-bye.